Friday afternoon, we got the horrible news that we lost Officer Coolidge. The shooting was Tuesday night of last week, and sadly Friday he passed away from his injuries. We also learned that people, I'm going to use the term that the interim chief used, Chief Sullivan, officers encountering gunfire is on the rise. More suspects are brandishing weapons and shooting at police.
Yeah. Joining us now is Phoenix City Councilman Kevin Robinson. Obviously, over 30 years' experience in the police force. Phoenix Assistant Police Chief, a role he held for 13 years. Councilman Robinson, thank you for joining us and having it's a sad chat that we're going to have, but thank you for having it.
Well, thank you. And yes, it's a sad issue, but I appreciate you spotlighting the concern for people to be aware of and to think about.
Yeah, and I think, not only to spotlight the officer who passed away his life, which we did certainly on Friday and will continue to do, but it was the 12th time this year a Phoenix officer faced gunfire or were involved in a shootout. And experts say that now this is happening in Phoenix more often. Can you pinpoint one or two reasons why it's happening more often?
The number one reason, because the vast majority of these folks who are shooting at police officers have a criminal record. The vast majority, not all, but the vast majority. And it's the mere fact that they are able to lay their hands on weapons as easily as they are. And I'm all for people having weapons. I am all for that. Law-abiding folks who, for whatever reason, want to own firearms. I don't have a problem with that. I have a significant issue or draw a significant issue with those who are prohibited possessors, folks who, for a variety of reasons, should not have access to firearms. That, I think, is the number one reason.
Well, and we know that the suspect in the killing of Officer Zane Coolidge had a pretty lengthy criminal record and had just recently gotten out of jail. He's now, by the way, a suspect in another murder. How easy is it for somebody to get out of prison and get their hands on a gun within days or weeks?
Well, therein lies, I think, the problem. It is easy for people to get their hands on a weapon. And just to make one real quick correction,
yes, sir.
He's not a suspect in another homicide. He is what they refer to as an investigative lead.
I apologize.
An investigative lead is someone who may have knowledge of the crime.
Got it.
So there's not enough there yet to say that he was a suspect.
Fair. Thank you for the
clarify
correction.
that.
Yeah.
But the mere fact that anybody can buy a weapon, I mean, they just can. Anybody can buy a weapon from a second party, just any number of ways. That, in and of itself, I firmly believe is the biggest problem we have to deal with. How can we, as a society, as law enforcement, as local government, state government, federal government, how can we reduce the opportunities for those who do not and should not have access to a weapon? How do we keep that from happening? I think that's the million-dollar question right now.
We've got Phoenix City Councilman Kevin Robinson on the show. So how do you stop it? This is probably something I'm sure that you're passionate about and you're working on as a Phoenix councilman. How do you stop it?
Well, there's only so much at a local level we can do, but I'm traveling to D.C. later this week and may have the opportunity to speak to a couple folks about it. Most definitely our delegation of representatives and senators. So I'll take that opportunity, but it's going to have to start at the federal level, I believe. I think there has to be legislation that really, in law enforcement, the International Association of Police Chiefs and other organizations all want a waiting period for people to purchase a weapon. Now, that's one thing. That's obviously would be one way to get there. And clearly, the vast majority of these guys probably aren't buying their weapons through normal channels, so that wouldn't apply to them. What we're going to need to have is significant laws in place that when a prohibited possessor is found in possession of a weapon, that they have to pay the price for it.
Yeah.
And I read earlier where Chief Sullivan, our police chief here in Phoenix, was saying something about, law enforcement is just one part of this problem. It does include the courts. It includes everyone else. And I think that's what it's going to take. Everyone coming together and recognizing and realizing that this is not just a one agency type of an issue. This is a multi-agency, talking from law enforcement, the courts, probation, parole, everybody. It's all of us working together to figure out the best way to ensure that people who should not have access to a weapon don't get access to a weapon.
Over 30 years of police service for you, what is it like? And I know you did it. You go to the home of the family whose loved one was killed in the line of duty. How did you do that? And I don't even know what I'm asking because it's such a tough thing that I can't imagine you had to do, but I know you did it. How did you do it?
With a heavy heart.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting. There's something that popped up on AZ Central a short time ago, and it had a picture of Phoenix police officers killed in the line of duty. And my staff and I were just kind of looking at it and talking about it. And the truly unfortunate thing is that, I knew more than half of them, or they were on, I started with the department in December, hit the streets in December of 1980 and retired in June of 2017. And during that time, we lost a lot of police officers and, for a variety of reasons. And you remember each and every one of them. It's extremely hard. I remember one evening, an officer was killed in a traffic accident. His father had been a Phoenix police officer. I knew his father. And when the mother and father walked up to the hospital, it was probably one of those occasions that you will never, ever forget. Wow. And each and every one of these situations brings something like that to mind. So it's difficult. It is probably one of the single most difficult things I've ever had to do in my life, but it's something that has to be done. You have to, push forward, push through it and explain to the family what happened and let them know that you're going to be there for them and that their son or daughter, husband or wife, whatever it was, that, they unfortunately died doing what they loved doing and protecting the citizens here in Phoenix. And I think that's what we all have to hold on to, is the fact that all these police officers are dedicated to the citizens, to the city, to having a safer community. And that's what they're about. And they're out there and they know what the dangers are, yet they do it anyway.
Councilman Robinson, thank you so much for your time. We sincerely appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
That's Phoenix City Councilman Kevin Robinson. Also, close to 37 years of service with Phoenix Police Department and other law enforcement agencies. So we're real glad that he could spend some time with us.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gatos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.